Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everybody who's joining the next ADGM webinar. I hope you had a good summer break and looking forward to now the fantastic season that is coming up in Abu Dhabi. And for me personally, this is going to be an extremely exciting set of several months full of activities. In this particular case, and in this webinar, we will be talking about all things trading, specifically broker-dealers, exchanges, commodities, and the like. And I will be joined by my friend and colleague, Jamal Oulhadj, who's the president of IFAD, ICE Futures Abu Dhabi. But before that, I just thought I'll take some time to talk about our broker-dealer proposition because we have seen a fairly large and substantial interest in that. So if you can have the presentation up, please. Thank you. So as I mentioned, we will be talking about, or at least I will be talking about ADGM's broker-dealer proposition. Next slide, please. Now, this is something that I keep on reiterating, and it is very, very important for people to note that the entire direction of Abu Dhabi Global Markets strategy has been predicated on the late Sheikh Zayed, the president of the UAE and the founding father, who recognized that you cannot actually rely on oil. I mean, he knew that this was a resource curse for which quite a lot of firms as well as countries face. So we have to diversify the economy. And because of that, as the next slide will show, over the past several years, the now president and the crown prince of Abu Dhabi have been driving the diversification of the economy pretty strongly. And these are the sectors that we are hugely focusing on: pharmaceuticals, education, energy, transportation, media, aviation, so on and so forth. But then, as you can appreciate, the financial sector is also a very, very important part, not just in its own right, but also because the financial sector is actually going to help finance the other sectors. So from that perspective, if you can move to the next slide, Abu Dhabi Global Market was established, and we are just about to celebrate our 6th year. So we are a startup as well. Abu Dhabi Global Market is led by a board of directors, which is headed up by our executive chairman, His Excellency Ahmed Al Saeg. Besides that, he's also the UAE Federal Minister of State and the ADNOC board member. Besides this, beside him, the other members of the board are from our sovereign wealth funds, Abu Dhabi Executive Office, as well as the chairman of the Department of Economic Development. So you literally cannot ask for a more stronger board of directors who are directing the development of this international financial center. Below this, there are 4 authorities. The first one, starting from the right, is our court system, which rely on English common law. And this is very important and a factor that I'll keep on coming back to. Then we have our Financial Services Authority, which takes care of everything to do with financial services, banking to insurance, capital markets to digital currencies, FinTechs to broker-dealers. Then we have the Registration Authority, which looks after the non-regulated firms, innovation, tech startup, family offices, consultants, everything. And all the other functions are under the ADGM Authority. So a very tightly integrated setup that we have over here. Next slide, please. So because of the fact that we are a startup as well, we learned quite a lot, and we are starting to move very, very fast. I already talked about the fact that we are perhaps the only common law jurisdiction, pure English common law jurisdiction between Singapore and London. And that was directly applying common law, so that you're very comfortable with the fact that the laws and regulations and the courts are applying something that is well known and recognized globally. Other things like private REIT regime. We are perhaps one of the largest comprehensive crypto asset regulated jurisdictions in the world. At this moment, we have about 6 exchanges licensed. We have 4 custodians and a very large number of people who have applied and are going through the application process. Digital sandbox, FinTech. We have the world's first, and as far as I'm aware, still the only purely digital courtroom. You actually don't need to be here to go through any part of the court process. API framework, VC managers, one of the largest VC jurisdictions in the local region. Next slide, please. So the people keep on asking, why Abu Dhabi? And I basically point to these the 5 factors. Common law. You cannot really egg the fact that English common law is such an important framework for carrying out business activities. It provides consistency and predictability, and there is a huge amount of prior case history that you can use from other courts as well. So all the major jurisdictions, as you can appreciate, are usually on common law. International regulations. We are members of IOSCO and other regulatory bodies fully recognized. Proactive jurisdiction. I talked about some of the firsts that we have done, and we love for our firms to come to us and say, if only we can do this. And quite frequently, we are the first people to do those aspects that I have mentioned. Ease of doing business. We pride on this. Fastest, progressive, we respond very quickly. And then the last one is the environment. Highly tax efficient, great infrastructure, very, very great infrastructure. It's one of the happiest countries in the wider region. It's also the safest city in the world. So great place to do business in. But let's move on to the next slide, please. So because of this, in the last 6 years, as you can see from the screen, a very large number of financial and non-financial firms have established over here. Banking and insurance, capital markets, the corporate sector, professional service providers, and as behoves the fact that we are one of the hosts of the largest pools of private capital, where a lot of family businesses are here as well. And you can see all these names and their contact details on our public registers. Next slide, please. So, as I mentioned, largest pool of capital. Here are just some examples. You can see the Abu Dhabi Inc. Firms that are based over here, starting from Ardia down to Catalyst. And because of this platform, we actually have a great collaboration with other regional and international sovereign wealth funds. Institutional investors come in because they know that they have got the availability of large pools of capital. And as I said, this is also one of the pools of private wealth. So high net worth and ultra high net worths, angel investors, all of them are present over here. Next slide, please. So you might ask, why broker dealers? Why trading? The first and foremost thing is English common law jurisdiction. Broking, and I used to be a broker myself a long time back. Don't ask me when, because it's lost in the dim mists of time. But you need to have a good underpinning of law, because sometimes disputes happen. And you want the comfort that the legal framework is international, it's predictable, it's consistent, and easy to enhance and be flexible. I mean, we allow for example, broker dealers to trade crypto quite easily. And our legal framework seamlessly incorporated that particular need. We encourage our broker dealers and traders to have multi-product capability. You apply for one license and then you specify these are the products that you want to trade. Right? Tick, 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 tick. They are pragmatic rules. We recognize that just by the fact that you have passed an examination doesn't mean you are the right person. So we tend to actually focus on the person. We take a look at the CV, we interview, we ask, we literally delve. And that can actually help make sure that you can have the best quality candidates in your firm. I talked about the multi-regulated activity support. Our broker dealers can actually have a fund license. They can have an advisory and arranging license. They can provide custody. They can provide lending, whatever. You can grow up to becoming an investment bank. And in fact, that's what we encourage you to do. We also have innovation and FinTech, perhaps one of the largest local jurisdictions for fintech, where you can check out these interesting business models. We have our digital lab. We have a huge platform, FinTech Abu Dhabi, which is coming up end of November. And we encourage and we realize that our broker dealers and trading firms rely on technology to have that competitive advantage. And of course, the final piece, the tax efficient jurisdiction. We have 0% corporate and individual taxes, and you can rely on the widest network of double tax treaties on the planet. A very, very good place to do business. Next slide, please. So here are some of the broker dealers that we have got: agency, principal, and retail, APM, Citi, Shua, Avatrade, Xfinity, Lulu, Capex, WCS, so on and so forth. So, and it's growing, and you can see the list of our broker dealers on our public register. Next slide, please. So, that brings me to the end of a very quick whistle-stop tour of our broker dealers. But this is just one aspect. Trading is, of course, wider. And we'll talk a bit more about remote membership of our exchanges. There are hedge funds. There are other types of traders on the fund side. There are individual sole trading firms as well, investment partnerships, a very, very large ecosystem of traders. But let me finish over here. That will be a quick introduction. And after this, we will move into a fireside chat with my friend Jamal. It gives me great pleasure to welcome my friend Jamal, with whom I have sat down and had some very, very long conversations. But I might be biased in introducing him and miss out on some very important things. So, Jamal is obviously the president of ICE Futures Abu Dhabi. And I'd like to start by asking him to introduce himself, give a bit of a background, and basically introduce himself to the audience. Jamal, welcome to the webinar. Over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Bhaskar. I'm very happy to be taking part this webinar. As you know, ADGM is home to IFAD, and we strive to make sure that we are always involved and making sure that ADGM and IFAD are achieving great things. My background is I started in the business about 25 years ago. Sorry, I'm dating myself. All my career spawned from the beginning with exchanges, then broker dealers, and back to my roots, an exchange. All my life, I studied, worked, and lived in the United States of America in Chicago, and now I'm happy to call Abu Dhabi home.
Great. Thank you very much, Jamal. So let's have a quick chat about IFAD itself. IFAD, of course, is trading the ADNOC Murban crude. But why don't I ask you the basic question? Walk us through how you decided to set up the exchange. What was the background? What was the thinking? What all did you do to actually decide to set up the exchange?
Thank you, Dr. Bhaskar, for a great question. This is a nice segue to introduce the genesis of IFAD. It started about 4 years ago at the highest level of Abu Dhabi government, and it was part of a strategic initiative to change how the wealth of the nation is marketed and sold. Under the leadership of the Supreme Petroleum Council and ADNOC, it was decided that they needed to move from a retroactive pricing model to a forward-looking or market-driven market-driven model. And to achieve that, you need an exchange where all the major participants that are buying or selling Merben or any other grade will come to transact and contribute to the price discovery of the crude oil. That's in a sense how it started.
Thank you, Jamal. That is a fascinating piece, and suffice to say, the level of sponsorship as well as the fact that oil majors have been an integral part of setting up the exchange just shows how strong the foundations are. But then it's been few months now since the exchange has gone live. And from what I understand, since it went live, there have been some very interesting developments on this, with quite a lot of countries starting to use IFAD as the place for their oil trading. Would love to hear from you as to what has been the experience over the last 5 6 months.
Indeed, it has been 6 months since the launch of IFAD on March 29 of this year. Um, so, uh, what we did since then can be summarized in few metrics I will share with you if you don't mind. One, uh, so far we or the market traded about 850,000 futures contracts since we launched, the equivalent of 850 million barrels of the Merben crude, which is very significant. Uh, we achieved to have about 75 participant actively trading participant uh, across the globe, across different bucket of in the energy value chain. Um, and also we have about 34 members that joined the exchange. uh, 24 of those are clearing members. And if you look on our website, you can see it's who's who in the banking and financial brokerage arena. So, for, since the launch, one of the key metrics we use to gauge how we're doing, which is the one of them, by the way, it's the average daily volume. So we are achieving about 6,200 contracts a day that is traded, the equivalent to 6 million barrel, or precisely 6.2 million barrels of crude oil that are transacted on through the exchange, which is a very healthy, good number to have. As well, we are achieving on average about 45,000 contract as open interest on a monthly basis. That's another thing that we use to gauge the liquidity of the market. And the last piece is how deep is the curve, meaning how far can you go to price your oil. Uh, up to today, you can basically price crude oil going all the way to August 2022, which is a very good uh, uh, curve to have, and which means that the participants they believe in the integrity of the market, and and they believe that it's a true useful hedge risk management tool for their hedging purposes.
No, that's, I think, a very, very important thing. And from what we have been seeing, and of course, what you reiterated was that there is a significant number of trading participants in there, and that number is increasing as well. We were obviously busy in authorizing those members, and we are having conversations with them about what more that they are planning to do, and it's some very interesting. Hopefully, we'll be able to talk about that at a future webinar. But at this moment, would love to just home into that point about trading and specifically prop traders. And these are obviously a very important part of the market, and they would obviously get attracted by the volumes, the open interest, the presence of other participants, liquidity, and the like. Would you be able to talk a bit more about these broker dealers, these prop traders, and what you see from your experience, and what other facilities and incentives would you be able to address to them to do more on IFAD?
Uh, Absolutely. Uh, as you know, in every market, especially a nascent market like the Merban, uh, there are usually three participants. You got the natural hedgers, which is either the refiners or the trade houses, and those are usually they tend to be the buyers. Then you got the sellers, the people who are producing the crude oil. Then the second bucket consists of financial traders, hedge fund, commodity trading advisors, asset managers who feel that there is a value to uh, they can get from trading uh, in and out of this product. And the third and critical piece of this ecosystem is what we call the market makers, the people who are constantly out there making sure that there is always a two-way market, either for the hedger or the financial speculators. So, so, so in essence, we have three buckets. They all coexist depending on who's who's coming to the market to trade, and in essence, you always have one either one buyer and two seller, or one seller and two buyers, because everybody will be looking at that opportunity to see how it benefit them. So the market makers, they tend to be what we call the prop trading houses, because they have sophisticated systems. They have, in most of them, and nowadays they rely on algo trading, algo engines, and as their system determines that they can make few cents or few dollars on every trade, they keep doing it on and on and on and on. So they're critical to our pool of liquidity to have them. So uh, do prop traders or new prop trading homes or companies have a role to play in the growth of IFAD? Absolutely.
Great. Thank you very much. I think this is absolutely vital to hear from the president of an exchange. What a welcoming stance that they have taken, and we recognize their importance. So I do realize sometimes they might be looked upon with slight disfavor, but no, not here. Actively welcome them. So if anybody's hearing, there we go. But let me ask I guess, the more interesting question. You have done a great job at launching the exchange, and good trading is happening. There are good participants. But obviously, Jamal, knowing you, you are not going to just rest on your laurels. You have got some very ambitious and imaginative thoughts as to how you're going to develop. Why don't you tell our listeners what your thoughts are as to what might be coming up, and what they can be looking forward to?
Thank you, Dr. Bhaskar. As you know, not I'm not aware of any exchange that survived on one product. So the secret sauce for growth is to list more product for our participant or future participant to use and trade. Uh, our approach to that is very simple. We go out and we consult with the markets. Okay, and we take feedback, we bring it home, we do our homework, running our analysis, making sure that whenever we list a contract or a new product, uh, we we have to be confident that that contract will be a viable one and it serves a purpose. So it's a lengthy a process. It starts with consultations, then it starts with then right after that analysis. Then we go through the governance cycle, which you are part of it, and then we list it out there, and it doesn't end at that point. We need to make sure we educate. We provide lots of education to the marketplace about the product and how they can use it. So what are we looking at? We're looking across many products. I can't specifically talk about them because one of the things we do respect the authority of the regulators until they grant us that approval. We cannot go out there and start talking about things that are not going to happen. So we have some exciting things. I can assure you we are not reinventing the wheel on other products. We're not just doing copy and paste, and mimicking other stuff. So we are looking at some very innovative new tools that will be helping, or at least providing some real value to the marketplace, and regionally and also globally. So it's a slate of product that people from all over the globe will have access to and will be able to trade.
Great. Thank you very much. I think we are cooking up some very interesting things together. And of course, we would be looking forward to IFAD coming to us with their individual products. But definitely, now that that the COVID situation has been addressed and people are literally flooding in, I think it's going to be a bit of a buzz of excitement when it comes to trading in ADGM. So, look, I mean, I know traders and broker dealers have extremely precious pressures on their time, and I was trying to make sure that this webinar doesn't cross half an hour. I think I've just managed to squeeze it in. Hopefully, you folks had an interesting time listening to Jamal, and you have a bit of a overview of what ADGM can provide to broker dealers, traders, exchange members, so on and so forth. Please let us know. Get in touch with us either through LinkedIn or through our website. Tell us what we can talk more about. There is a huge amount of investment and interest in the entire markets ecosystem. So if there is something specific that you wanted to hear about, do let us know. Thank you very much, Jamal, for your time, and look forward to hearing from you again in the next webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, and it's been an honor being on this webinar.